this? No. Why? Why does it look like this, Bear? Huh? For those of you saying, why is he not in a kennel? It's because he broke it too. He broke it. Yeah. Who did this?
The dog looked at her like, Ma, you know who did it. No amount of asking who did this is going to make the dog answer who did it. I think the dog is at points even looking at her like, Mom, you know who did it. Here, your dog needs training. They often think they're going to spend $1 million, but that is by far going to cost you way more, not only in the present when you find that this situation happens, but in the long run when it keeps happening over and over. On top of it, you've got crate damage, and the damage is not going to stop at the couch. It's going to continue. The walls, shoes, your bags. And the worst part about walking into something like that is it didn't even have to get there. It never had to get that far. And guess who's getting blamed? The dog. Guess who's getting questioned as if they can answer? The dog. And the dog can't answer, and it's not the dog's question to answer. It's the owner's question to answer. This is where we take responsibility and say, what could we have done differently? Oh, but I put him in the crate. But the crate didn't work, and without the adequate crate training, a crate won't work. All you're gonna do is cause more distress and more trauma, and they will spend the time while you're gone working their way out of said crate, like we see in this video. Okay? This comes from anxiety. So what we're finding in this video is a couple of things. Well, let's talk about why it looks like all that we just saw. At the end of the day, it's up to us to teach our dogs what's expected of them, not by just sticking them in somewhere and saying, hey, I need you to stay, and not by leaving the house for hours on the time and expecting to come back home to anything less than this sort of destruction. Well, what are some things we can do to prevent this? Well, I'll tell you, because with paw dogs, training your dog just got simpler. One thing that you can do is you're going to want to start with the crate, okay? So she did right there by starting with the crate, and clearly that didn't work because the key with crate training is a buildup of time. Buildup of time establishes a buildup of trust. So you're never going to want to stick your dog into a crate and then just leave. And if you even felt like, hey, I didn't just leave, we did this a couple of times, you got to listen to your dog's cues. So you'll know when the training is adequate enough by how calm your dog is in that crate long before you leave. That way, you know, when you leave, what you saw when you were there is what's to be expected when you're gone. What's happening and why the crate training failed is because the trust was not established before building up that amount of time that you spent away. The dog still does not trust that you're going and coming right back or coming back at all. Now, I've done several videos on this, but I'll give you a quick breakdown now on how you would crate train your dog. And all your dog is thinking when you're leaving them in there is you're going to be gone forever, forever. They don't know that you're coming right back. When you start to put them in the crate, in order to avoid damage like this, you're going to want to build up the time they spend in there incrementally, okay? You build up the increments. So at first, you might just want to get them comfortable with even knowing that they can go in and out of the crate. You're going to want to do that by leaving the door open, okay? You're going to leave that door open all of the time. You're going to see them start to go in and out. Anytime they go in, it's a reward, okay? Then they start to want to hang out in there more because they realize every time they're in there, they start to get rewarded. Eventually, you can start to close the door, but you're not just going to close it and walk away. You're going to close it and reopen it. And because they didn't freak out when you closed it and reopened it, you're going to reward them. And then once you close it and open it again, you're going to reward them. Then you're going to build it up, and maybe you're going to close it and sit there with them for 2 minutes. And then they didn't freak out, and you're going to reward them. And you're going to build that up to 5 minutes, and they didn't freak out, and maybe they've even laid down at this point, and you're going to reward them for every good thing that they do in there. It is a reward, okay? You phase out of rewards in the future, but we're not there now. Right now, we're just rewarding them. In this, you're going to also mix in opening the door after rewards and letting them out. Once they come out, toss a treat back in there or whatever works or has been working for you to get them in. Or if they're just their natural curiosity, you can allow their natural curiosity to bring them back in. Reward. They're in there, you close the door. Lay down, you reward. You're sitting there, gate is closed. 5 minutes has lapsed, they've done well, you've rewarded. 10 minutes has lapsed, they've done well, you've rewarded. You can now maybe even decide to stand up. Let's just see what they do, right? You stand up, they are still laying down, reward. They get up, you can have them lay back down. They lay back down and trust you, reward. Okay, if they don't, they get anxious, all of that. Feel free to sit back down with them to let them know that it's okay to stay. Okay, they lay back down, they understand that they can stay, you reward. At that point, when they start to understand that when you stand up, it doesn't mean that they also stand up, you can start to step away. You take your steps away, they still stay laying down, you reward, okay? If they get up, you go back to the previous step that they were doing well at before you moved on to the one where they did not feel comfortable. This is how you build up your incremental time, okay? So that brings you to, you've built up to the point where you can now walk away and they're still laying down. You've cut a corner and now you're testing what it's like for them not to see you. And you're going to do the same thing as you did to get yourself away from the crate with your time away in another room where they can't see you. So you go behind the wall and you come back. Good job. Reward. You go back behind the wall. Maybe you're back there for 2 minutes. They're still laying down. You come back out. Oh, good job. They're up. They're, they're a little anxious. Da, 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 da. Maybe they're not ready for 2 minutes away yet. But and under no circumstance are we going to realize that, hey, they're anxious at 2 minutes and say, oh, well, but I have to go to work. No. That's how this happens. I have to go to the grocery store. This is how this happens. This is how this happens. And if you don't want this, it does take the time for them to trust that you're coming back. What happens is when you go behind that wall, it's like they forget. They don't know that you've only been behind the wall for 2 minutes. To them, that's probably been like an hour, 45 minutes. Like, keeping those things in mind, it helps us to understand where this behavior's. And it's important to keep in mind with crate training, you don't start to go out of the house and trust the crate training until you've mastered it in the house. And what does that even look like? Being able to go in the kitchen and cook a meal with your dog in the crate and them not going crazy. It looks like being able to go take a shower with your dog in the crate and them not going crazy. It looks like having guests sitting next to you in the living room, you guys having a whole conversation, and the dog being in the crate and not going crazy. Your dog should be laying down, relaxed, calm, not whimpering, not crying. Once you've gotten to a place where your dog knows that it's okay to be here, this is actually a safe space, you can start to take your steps out the front door. You can then go out the front door and again apply the same method, building your time incrementally outside of the door. Once you've mastered the incremental time outside of the door and you're at a place where you're 30, 45 minutes, an hour outside of the door, you're in a good space. Then and only then will you find that you're no longer burning through crates or replacing couches like this. You may end up spending some time now to do the crate training and spending a little bit of money to get some help with training, but you save yourself so much more money in the long run when you're no longer continuously replacing the things like this, or your crate, or your floor, or your food, or your bags, or your shoes. The list goes on. But guys, that's the video. If you have anything to add in terms of how to help anyone else in the Paw Dogs community that might be struggling with things like this or their crate training, be sure to drop a comment to help someone else out. Otherwise, I hope this video helped you. And if you know somebody else that it can help or that's been going through this, definitely be sure to share this with them, because this doesn't have to be anybody's struggle. But in the meantime, be sure to follow, and I'll see you guys in the next one.